Hello everybody, it's SuffolkBlue, all the way from merry old England. How the devil are you? I hope you are well. Welcome back to Minecraft, welcome back to the Direwolf20, welcome back to the V for Variety server. I'm missing some pants, I'm going to need to make some trousers. I have no trousers on my armour, that's bad. We need to get that done, we need to get that fixed. Not right now though, today we're going to look at some of the stuff that we've done. We have changed, as you can see, our essence hall down here has been decked out a little bit. We put a little bit of styling in, we've got a few pillars in now, we've done some more of those alcoves. I've also put in, I've moved the elevators or the lifts, and I can tell you that they've now got one on each of the four sides of the room. Very good. And we also have done this. This here is an oblivion jar. And as you can see, this is no longer, if you remember, this was a complete circuit that was going all the way around, yeah? What we found that happens, me and Digimaster did a bit of an experiment to see what would happen, and apparently when a jar, even a void jar, gets full, its suction drops to such a level that it won't draw in any more Essentia through this system. So actually the buffers start to fill up with overflowing Essentia. Rather than going into the void jar and becoming void, they actually end up sitting around in the system. So I had to do some experiments to try and find a way, otherwise the whole thing starts to fall apart. I can't keep emptying Aurum, for example, just because I'm burning Wisp elements. So what we came up with in the end, and what I came up with in the end, is this, the Oblivion Jar. Now the Oblivion Jar is, I don't have a book on me, but essentially it's an infusion altar issue upstairs. So you need the infusion altar for it. You need 3 entropy shards, you need a void jar itself, an empty chest, and some warded glass. It's got a high level of disruption, although we didn't have any problems with this. This was a first time make without any problem. And you can see that it's doing that sort of weird effect. I'm not very keen on that effect. But what it basically does is any Essentia, so if you imagine the Essentia is burnt down here in our furnace, goes through the system, through the pumps, through the bellows, into the air side, okay, and begins its journey around all of our now covered up buffers and going into the relevant jars. If, however, it gets to it can't go into its jar because it's full and there's no suction going to that jar anymore, it will come round all the way around and will end up after the Voltus. This is the Voltus jar here. The Voltus, there it is. That's the last filter, and after that it will go straight into here, the Oblivion jar. And once it's in the Oblivion jar, it gets destroyed. So any overflow, rather than now being destroyed by the void jars, is now being destroyed by the Oblivion jar. And what we will do eventually is I'm going to cover this up with one last layer of stone, and then we'll cover up some of this. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the middle yet. At the moment I've just made a platform, and I'm sort of liking that on its own. It's a bit bare, but I like the fact that you can see it all. And obviously I've put in this, but this is in the wrong place, but I just put that there to empty out one of the containers I had. So there we go. This is our downstairs Essentia Hall, and as I said, we've now got elevators everywhere. Okay. The next thing we're going to talk about, there's the infusion altar upstairs. The next thing we're going to talk about is this. Materials for the actual, because today is supposed to be a building episode, so what I've decided to do, and this is a really great building tip, if ever you're building something big and you're really not sure what materials to use, on site, build just, sections of it in those materials, stand back and have a look at it and say, actually, what would that look like? Bearing in mind that the biggest wall section, I can't have trouble with my words today, the biggest wall section is going to be these sections. And can I have a whole wall using blood bleach bone cobblestone? Does that look right? What would that look right big? Not sure I like that. Not sure I like that. Definitely don't like this. And just stand back and have a look at it. Use different materials. We've got marble over here. So this is the raw marble and the marble brick. I actually quite like the raw marble, but I prefer it to be higher up. We've got some snow on this already. I prefer it to be higher up. So the lower part of this cathedral is not going to be done in marble. It doesn't look right. I don't like that. I like this, but again, I'd like it in a smaller amount rather than huge area. This is the big bricks for bleach bone, and again, I like that. It's quite subtle, actually, the change, because the edge, you see, obviously, all the edges are done in living rock brick. I do like that. I love that. I really do like this. This is the bleach bone brick, the small brick, with a living rock edge. I do like that. Let's have a look at what that looks like from far away as well. It's sort of... It really does look very different, doesn't it? I really do like that. And then over here we've got, again, just a living brick. So this is the living rock brick. There's just too much of it. I just think that if I was to make the whole of the base of this cathedral out of that brick, I just think it's going to be too much. And it's also really blending in heavy with the walls here. And that one again is doing the same. So I think we're going to go for this. This, I think, is our base material. Now you can see how high we're going with this. This is just the first stage of this, remember. This is the first hall. And it's basically going to cover up the internal infusion altar here. So this is all going to go around. This is the main door, and we're going to have a door that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, so 7. It's got a middle section. Okay. And as you can see, it's one big door, not two individuals. But I think that's what we're going to go for. So I'm going to make a cut here. You don't need to see me place all these blocks. Obviously, I'm going to have to go around. And actually, what I can do, I haven't got any bricks on me. What I could do is look at transforming using the wand, maybe these into that. But if not, I shall take them apart with a sledgehammer and re-put them in with this brick. So I'm going to go away and do that. It's going to take me about, I don't know, half an hour or so. So you don't want to watch me doing that. So I shall be right back. And welcome back. So here we go. It's one of those scary moments when you're doing anything, whenever you're doing a big build. It's one of those scary moments where suddenly there's an awful lot of wall, or there's an awful lot of space or area of blank canvas, and you look at it and you go, I don't know what I'm going to do with that. It's so busy. It's so, or it's, in this case, it's just so bland, and it's so without any shape or definition or colours, or it just looks the same. Actually hurts your eyes a little bit if you look at it too long. But that's okay. This is the blank canvas stage. We were at the same stage, if you remember, if you go back in time and look at the previous videos, when we were building these side walls, or when we were building when we were building this front wall even. It all started off with a single block. Create the blank canvas and then start to chip away at it, start to change it. Also important to note that this is a dual wall, so I haven't built the middle wall yet, the central inner wall. So this, what we see on the outside may not be what we see on the inside, and I'm sort of thinking to myself that I'd quite like to do a full marble interior. Make it really white, make it really light, make it be in complete contrast with this floor. I'm going to keep the living brick. You won't see those on the inside. Obviously, I've put a door shape in, not necessarily the right height, not necessarily the right arch shape that I want on it, but you can see that's the sort of imposing vision you'd see as you come through. And let's just have a look again from above. Let's have a look at the shape. Let's get up nice and high. Let's get up as high as the umbrella above. Okay, so there's a lot of wall here. There's a lot of wall here, and I'm already looking at this and thinking, okay, so as a builder, what can you do with this surface? What can you do? Well, you've got texture changes, so I can bring it outwards or push it backwards. I've got the actual effect changes, so I can change the type of block that we see, so it isn't that block. I can add in other blocks to break up that amount of space. I can change the height. I can change with micro blocks. I can change the texture. I can bring it forward even in the minute way. And it's a case of starting. Where do you start? Where do you look at this, and how do you make it happen? How do you make it work? Well, I'm going to start, I think, with the door. It gives me a feature. It gives me a definite place to start looking at, to start thinking about. And let's go and get some materials. Let's go and grab ourselves some brick and some stone and have a look at what we can look at. But one of the things that sort of to get across with this video is not to be daunted. If you're doing big builds, some people for their first ever big build, they've got these grand ideas in their head. They know exactly how they want it to look. They know exactly how they want it to be, and that's just fantastic when it happens like that, because that's easy. That's the way you want to build. We're going to take some living brick. We're going to take some living rock. We'll take some marble as well. I'm not going to take any arcane stone. We've got some dungeon glass. We want to do some windows, maybe. We could look at bringing in some ordinary stone at some point as well. I'll have a look at what that colour looks like. But don't be daunted by the sheer size and scale, the amount of area. That's the key. The key is to take it in chunks, take it in sections, and say, okay, I'm only going to do this section up to a bit. I'm going to go up to a certain point. Now the first thing to look at is I don't like, and by the way, if you're wondering what these are, these bollards, these are markers on the ground that give me a marked indication of a shape and a size that I quite liked the look of previously. I've kept them there. They may no longer be accurate as a result of the size of the walls, but I'm still liking the idea of that shape, so I may keep that there. What I'm not really liking at the moment necessarily is this bottom living brick run. I'm going to keep the edges and cornices, I think we keep the same. Yeah, that's better. Oops, already I like that more than I liked before. So just bringing that down, okay. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go up here. How much did I bring? Good. Yeah. And we're beginning to create frames, if you can see what I mean. If you look around the edges, these bricks are now being framed by living brick. And what we do is, literally, I'm just going to go round and I'm going to take out the bits which I want to highlight using living brick, because the same as whenever you're doing like a model, when you're painting a model, light, shade and highlighting is all important, and the same is true with buildings. So when you're building in Minecraft, think about texture, light and shade, think about the sorts of stones you're using or the sorts of materials you're using, and find one which is going to complement it as a shader, and one that will complement it as a highlighter. So the highlight for this bleach bone is interesting. It's more yellow. It's sort of got more of a beige feel to it than the living brick. The living brick has got that sort of white feel to it. So it makes a good highlight against bleach bone, as you can see. It's not very good at shading though, as you'd expect. Can't be both. So let's just start by framing up that wall. Let's take these, clear up as we go. So it's just this run here. I don't think I've got enough living brick. We might have to go and get some more. 3, 4, 5. So we're going to be too short. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Yeah, but I like that. I like the shape on that as well. What we can do, that highlight around the edge of the door, because I think I'm going to do another drawbridge. So in the same way that we did the main doors, thank you. In the same way that we did the main doors, by having that there, it creates the shape, and I instead can put sort of across here in this back area here, I can make the drawbridges so that actually they're in the secondary wall, and then that will slide across. So from the front it will look like an arch, and from the back it won't. But what we can do is we can cover up the back using some clever bits and bobs, because I've got some clever things in mind to make that vanish. But there we go. So that's that highlight. The next question is, how high above the door do I want to go with this brick? Do I want to go all the way to the top? Which I could, obviously. Or do I want to put 1, 2, 3? If I was to take out, and actually maybe the wand would be better. I don't know. It depends what the strength of this rock is. Yeah, it's not so bad. We can probably do this. Is to split. So as I said, if you're faced with an enormous canvas of the same colour or the same texture or the same type of block, then break it up. Just break it up. Just say, okay, I'm going to cut this canvas in exactly the same way as if you're an artist. I'm going to not get scared of the white. I'm going to break that white up, and I'm going to start by pulling in other textures, other colours, other types of brick, just to begin to pull that forward. And I quite like that living brick against that, because that sort of does look a bit 3D, because it's dark at the bottom and light on the top, so as the sun's coming down it does have that sort of effect at the moment. Again, in terms of texture, we're still a flat wall. There's nothing about this. This is just about putting foundation, the base coat on, and then taking it wider. So if we were to go all the way around here, the next question to think about, and I'm just going to finish this off and I'll show you, we might have to do a lot of adjustment now. I'm looking at this, which means a lot more work for me, but I'm going to do a lot of this off camera. We're going to do a lot of this coming back and seeing the progress on this build. I'm not going to have you watch me build everything individually, because it would drive you potty. But let's just come across here. So let's finish off this line, and this line is now going to follow. So it was set by the door, so that line there was set by the height above the door, but that now can follow all the way around the whole of this building, even though there's no door there. and we can just use that as a good marking line. It looks very castle-y at the moment, which is fine. It's a sort of castle. But on the top here, I've got to look at this and I'm going to go, right, now, do I want to keep that at this height, or, using completely the wrong block, or do I want to look at this now and go in by some? So we'll have to readjust the whole of the top. There we go. But how about we begin to push this wall in? It's difficult to tell if you do a single stripe like that. Again, my suggestion really is to take out a section of the wall. Let's take out 2, so we've got an odd number, or it doesn't make any difference really, but just make it big enough so you can really have a look, stand back and have a look at it and see whether or not that's the right height to begin an incline or to begin tapering up at the top. So let's just pop these in. Take a look. Yeah, I think it is. I think it probably is. Now, next question is do you take it all in? Or do you, for example, leave 3? We've just done 3 there. I was to do another 3 here, as an innie, and then that would be 3 as an outie, because that's the way it's been made. So I could, just knock this through. I should have used, of course, oops, not too far. Where are you? There you be. Such a slow process when you're building like this, though. We are at least taking out big old chunks. And the reason we might do this, again, because it's a double wall thickness. So we don't have to have everything looking at the same thickness. It's perfectly possible, reasonable, that, let's just do that. That at the higher levels of this building, the double wall stops. Perfectly possible. So the double wall might only be at the base level, and then all of a sudden it starts to become a single wall as it goes up. In actual fact, if you remember back to the outside walls, that's exactly what we did. So if we just, oops, let's go and clear up some of our mess. We're making a bit of a mess. I don't like making mess when I build. It distracts me. Let's clear up that mess. Okay. But if you remember, as I was saying, from the outside wall here, we've got double walls on the bottom, but actually this wall here is all single. So we've made it thinner as we go up, yeah? But if we go and have a look at this, so what we're doing, as I say, we're mixing up the textures, pulling it back, pulling it forward. Does that work? Is that working for us? Not just sure whether that's working for us or not. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, so I really want to go here. Just knock out this. Make our 3 by 3. And as I say, stand back and look at it and see whether or not whether that works for your building. I'm already getting a feeling in my mind that it isn't going to work for my building, but we'll see in a second once we've done it. Oh, come on. There we go. And there. And let's have a look. Let's get into daytime. Let me have a look at what... Again, another important thing to do is to look at both daytime and nighttime, because if you just look at night, if you're not building for the day, it's going to look wrong. Always check your lights and your balancers and the textures during both times. There we go. You get different shadows. No, I don't like that at all. Don't like it at all. So what we do instead, I think, is we're going to take this back as well, and we're going to begin to create the start of the tower, because if you remember right at the very beginning, we were going to build a tower on top of this. In fact, we are still going to build a huge tower on top of this. So we're going to begin that whole process of pushing these buildings backwards and upwards. Actually, let's start at the bottom, otherwise we'll end up at a horrible place. Come on. And again. Now that should be all of them apart from the edges, should it not? Yeah, okay. So what I'm going to do, if we just put this in here, and you'll see why I think this looks better. Bearing in mind that, a bit like a wedding cake, like those 3-tiered wedding cakes, as you go upwards, you can do different decorations on these things. You can start bringing in marble arches here. In fact, we may mimic some of the stuff that we've done over on the walls even. Don't be afraid to copy something that worked for you, and don't be afraid to do something which matches in and helps to blend in with the surroundings that you see around you. So yeah, I do prefer that going backwards. Certainly looking up it looks different, takes the eye off. It suddenly made that one wall seem a lot smaller because this is now a different wall to this wall. I'm going to go and finish off. I could look at leaving those edge parts and having those projecting forward, but I probably won't. I'm going to go and push those backwards, alright, and then I'll bring it back in, show you what that looks like. And as I said, this episode's already starting to time along as a building episode, I know, but I wanted to sort of show you the starting process of this. I'm going to do a lot off camera, and we're going to bring you back over the course of the weeks to show you the progress that we're making, whilst also still doing some other stuff. So hold on fire, I'm going to push this whole lot of wall back by one all the way around, and as soon as that's done, I'll bring it back. So welcome back everybody, there we go. It took a little bit longer than I thought, but we've managed to knock that wall at that level back just a single block. And I think it makes a huge amount of difference. It just creates, again, another level, another layer. Takes, if you remember at the beginning, that huge amount of space, already starting to cut into that, already beginning to make that less daunting, and something we can work on. You can already start to see now some clear sections where we can begin to work and say, okay, what are we going to do here? What are we going to do there? The other thing I want to talk about just briefly in this episode is Open Blocks Building Guide, which I didn't talk about when I built this dome originally. What I want to happen is I want there to be the start of a circle at the top here, a cylinder if you like, and to do that I've already set it up, but if I flick the switch, there we go, you can see where that's going to look and how that's going to stand. Alright, so you can see that the size of that circle. We're going to use some columns in that circle. We're going to use, if I had statues, there'd be statues in there as well. But you can see where that's going to sit on top of the building. This actually is going to need to be blended in with this. And the way that I'm going to do that is by using my markers down there. Now they're 11 long. This is actually going to be 9, I think. 7 with 2 end bits. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, 7. So a little bit smaller than that, but that's the general plan. So if you can imagine, let's take it from this end. So let's say it's going to be there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 to the end. Yeah. So you might be able to imagine that we're going to have on this wall potentially something a little bit. Whoops. How far up? Probably 2. So that's too high. Oops. Come on. 1, 2. So we're going to end up with a, again that's still 1 too high, we'll take that off. Almost like an eave of a building is what I'm thinking. And I'm going to use like an A-frame type roof, so a sort of slanted roof. At the top here, this is actually going to be a room. So rooms that are going to come off either side, 4. I'm probably going to want that taller, aren't I? Now, does that make it smaller if I do that? And if you hit the top of these things, you see that down the bottom there, changing size to 13. There we go, I am making that bigger. There we go. So we're just making that ring slightly higher. And so these can then, if you can imagine, come in from each side. We can put windows in each one, and there's going to be one at each side of the cylinder. This bit is going to be a flat roof across there. These are going to have windows in them and some pillars, and generally make that sort of really detailed. You can imagine looking up from the middle, you're going to go straight up to a huge dome at the top there. Now, what I'm standing on, there we go. It's going to be a huge dome at the top there that you're going to see directly above the infusion altar. And then from the cylinder and from the individual eaves of this building, I think I've made that a bit higher. I might have to make that one slightly smaller, but that's okay. And so from each of these, they're going to be the supports upwards for the last part, which is going to be all the way up, all the way up, all the way up. to about here with maybe a crown on top as well for the final tower. So the final tower is going to rest upon a cylinder, which I will almost certainly end up doing a dome. So the cylinder's fine at the moment. Then we'll raise the open blocks up by one, or up to the point where we want to make the dome on top. That will then be domed. There'll be support structures coming from all four corners to hold, and I may have the dome not actually touching the bottom of the tower. It may be the bottom of the tower is actually like a pyramid point down, almost like a shard, but with supports from either of the four corners, which are going to be from the main building, going up as a sort of single shard almost of marble. With a crown on top. But there we go, so we've begun the building today. I know, I'm never quite sure with these building episodes whether it's what you want to see or whether you don't want to see. So let me know in the comments whether it's interesting, whether it's boring, whether you'd prefer me to build off camera and then just talk you through it and do the big reveals, or whether you want to see some of the process that I go through. Obviously I've spoken about how I break stuff down from a single sheet of, or a single canvas of stone and start shaping it, sculpting it, adding in colours and textures to change it. So if that's been helpful to you, I really hope it has. But let me know in the comments. If you've liked what you've seen, please leave a like. If you're not a subscriber, click the button, become a subscriber today and join along. I've still got to do my 100 subscribers video. I haven't forgotten about it. I'm just trying to think about what I want to do, and I'm not 100% sure yet. Any ideas? Put them in the comments below. Remember, this is the V for Variety server. There are a load of people on this server. So much so, in fact, I'm going to take you to our hub and just introduce some new ones to you. In actual fact, I need to show you a present that I've received. We do have a new member of the server. Don't hate your fate, or fate as he likes to be called. And look at this, we've got a present. It says, thanks, means a lot and it helps a lot. Made you some you might like and use from, oh, might like and use from Don't Hate the Fate. And there he is. And in here we have now got a new Witch Hunter pistol, which actually is pretty cool. I'm not sure what bolts on it, but look at the size, that's tiny. Do you need bolts? Do I need to make bolts? Bolts, but I do. So I can make some bolts. And how easy are they to make? Oh, shift for stats. Oh no. Doesn't say how you make them, so that's going to be a bit difficult, but interesting. So we've got some bolts, so we need to make something really with for our crossbow. And he also gave us a witch's oven, when I have no idea what this does. But it looks so cool, like a little furnace oven, and I'm wondering if this is for whiffs, I think they're called, like a whiff of magic and a whiff of something else. I'm not a witchery person, but I can certainly see how I might get into some of this and do some of this stuff. So thanks very much, man. Really appreciate it. Make sure you check out their video. Make sure you check out his videos. And as I said, I'm just going to take you through to the hub. It's not a nether hub. It's the mining world hub. Just so you can see all the buttons that we've got on the wall now for our automatic whoosh. There we go, we're in. And there we go, there's me at the top there, Redstone Junkyard, the DG, Red Bearded one, who doesn't make videos or streams, but he's there anyway, bless him. Ikari, Tricky, Astral. There he is, Don't Hate Your Fate. I'm Extortion. There's the Munter Spawnville. Ector doing great stuff with Britannia at the moment, and Frankenstein, who has made a couple of videos, I think, too. So go and check them out. All the links are in my descriptions. Remember, this is a community server. Go and see the world from their point of view. But until next time, next week, I might do another building. Where am I? This is Redstone Junkyard's building. This is, I don't know why I'm at RJ's. I would have thought I would have gone back to mine. Never mind. Next week we're probably going to do a bit more building, actually. We're going to see how we've done off camera with some of the main base. You can have a look at that too. But until then, you take care of yourselves, and I'll see you soon.